Hello, hello. What is up, everybody in Buckeye Nation? It's TG, and also welcome to all NFL, NBA, college basketball, college football sports fans. Welcome back to the Special Podcast. What we're going to talk about is some news, obviously, that we haven't got a chance to talk about, which is we're going to be talking about the new special teams coaching hire for Ohio State, as well as NFL news that has come about as of late. Now, I know a lot of people are going to also want to hear about the Bryson Shaw stuff. I will do that in the following video with a co-host of mine. Obviously, you all know, but I will let you know by the end of the video. So what we're going to go into is, obviously, as I mentioned, the new coaching hire for Ohio State as special teams coach, which is Robbie Discher. He was the Illinois special teams coach. As of February 2026, obviously, Ohio State has hired special teams coordinator Robbie Discher from Illinois on January 31st of 2026 to fill a dedicated role that had been vacant since 2023. Now, the thing is about Robbie Discher, as most people may not know much about him, he is a former special teams coach, obviously of Illinois, but it's more than that, as a matter of fact. He is also known to be, and let me kind of go back on this one. His background recognizes him as one of the top special teams coaches in the country. He helped Illinois finish in the top 16 ranking special teams in recent years. His arrival addresses a known weakness area of Ohio State following the departure of Parker Fleming, even though I will say not even following the departure, that's been a weakness going back to 2022, 2023. That's been a following weakness. For the 2 seasons that he was hired as special teams coach, his role at Ohio, his time at Illinois has been absolutely wonderful. But it's not just his time at Illinois where he's been a special teams coach. He's also been a special teams coach at Tulane and a special team coach at Georgia during Georgia's 2 national title winning seasons. Yes, meaning his special teams at that point in time. Now, at Illinois, they ranked in the top 16 in 2024, but this year in 2025, they ranked in the top 30s, which is a bit of a step back, but given the fact that Illinois had to deal with recent injuries, it's kind of understandable. I think this is a great hire for Ohio State. Let's just call it for what it is. It's a great hire. This man will help address the special weaknesses of special teams. Now, I will say this about Ohio State special teams. 2024 and 2025, you've seen improvement. Not perfection, but improvement. And, you pretty much like to see that. But you have seen that in big games, Ohio State special teams tends to cost them in a lot of these games. Now, Ohio State did make some moves in the portal regarding special teams because they got a punter out of the portal for special teams and one of the best kickers in all of college football in special teams from Baylor. And now they're hired Rob Discher from. Now they've hired Mr. Robbie, I would say, our special teams coordinator, to help fill the void of special teams. Now, it's not all as well. Now, when you look at the special teams coaching staff, it will now consist of Robbie Discher, Rob Keys, Gunnar Daniel, and Nate Roberts. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try to look up what his specialties was like during the years of special teams. So, let's go with, obviously, Georgia for starters. So, so let's start with Georgia, and I'm gonna type in real quick. Georgia, special teams. Give me a second, y'all. 2021. If I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure I'm getting that information right. Yep. 2021. All right. So they were first in the SEC overall. They were first in the SEC in special teams and top 10 overall, obviously, really top 5 overall in special teams from what it looks like here. Let me go a little bit deeper. Let's see here. Oh, no, they were number 33. The national ranking efficiency was 33. Okay. That's saying something. But the unit ranked 5th. Okay, so they ranked 5th overall in the SEC, which is good, actually. Now, let's go to the next team he was a part of, which was, honestly, he was part of the Louisiana, Tulane, and Toledo, which if I had to take a guess. I'm really just going to do Georgia because, again, they were national championship winners. And their special teams overall was actually top tier in the nation. Now, again, they were number 33 ranked, but in the SEC, they were top 5, which, honestly, if you're top 5 in your conference, it means something. So, I'm not going to lie. I do think this hire has been amazing. This is an amazing hire for Ohio State. It'll actually help Ohio State regarding special teams. And I think that this is something big that for Ohio State they can do. Now, to other news. Yeah. Hold on, y'all. Sorry about that. Now, to other news. There has been a lot of newsways going on in the NFL regarding coaching hires. As a matter of fact, one of those teams has been the Steelers. As we all know, they've hired Mike McCarthy to be their new head coach. But apparently, they have a whole new wave of coaches that they have announced, starting with OC Brian Angelico. I'm sorry. Excuse me if I pronounce his last name wrong. So, Brian Angelico, special teams coordinator Danny Crossman, secondary coach Joe White Jr. The Steelers have also added coach a new D-line coach by the name of Domata Pecco, and a new defensive QC coach and Pat Riley. So, this is a flurry of new hires for the SEC, for the not SEC, for the Steelers. It's actually pretty good, honestly. It says they're putting their coaching staff together. Now, Angelico, the new OC, has been in the NFL going all the way back to 2012. He was a tight ends coach to start with the Buccaneers. And he's worked from there in the same positions such as for the Browns, the Packers, the Commanders, and the Yeah, the Browns, the Packers, the Commanders, and the Panthers. He was hired as the tight ends coach and passing game coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings in 2022. He also worked as defensive quality control coach for the Packers in 2008 and before being promoted to cornerbacks coach in 2009. He eventually worked his way up to defensive pass game coordinator in 2018. However, the Packers did he did work for a tight ends coach though for them as well. Now, his time working in the NFL, and this seems to be the case, is he's worked on the defensive and offensive side of the ball a couple of times. So, let's see. Yep, he is definitely the OC. So he's worked on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. He is absolutely an amazing kind of hire. Interesting. Well, I shouldn't say amazing because that would be. I'm gonna say interesting is more the word I would use here. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I do think this is a good hire for the Steelers. Not a lie, not a joke. I think that's great. Um, Now if I had to do another set of hires that have been making their rounds is the hire of Jesse Minner to the Ravens as a former Ravens coach there. There, he coached for the Ravens back in the day. Before he went to Scum to Michigan, and now he's back there as the head coach since John Harbaugh's departure. And he's basically made a couple of hires so far, such as he took Michigan's D line coach, which I'm not even gonna lie, that is the funniest one you have yet. He also took Declan Doyle. Of He also hired Declan Doyle. He served as an offensive coordinator for Ben Johnson last year in Chicago, which honestly you could say that's a great hire to get with. Like I said, he took Michigan's D line coach, so that is a big hire for them in regards. I wonder who their D coordinator would be. We'll see, but that is big. I'll say that now. Not only that, but the Philadelphia Eagles, they've hired Sean Mansion. They've hired him to be their new offensive coordinator. Yeah, Sean or Sean Mannion. I don't know which one you would have to pronounce that because everybody has it spelled differently and pronounced differently. But he now Mannion has been in a great it has been in the NFL for a long time now. He played in the NFL. He was mostly a practice squad player. He had 2 years later he becomes a offensive coordinator and a play caller for one of the most talented offenses. The former third QB and third round pick of 2015 has spent his career as a backup in the league, including 2 years in the Sean McVay Los Angeles Rams offense. And he's also been in making his mark in the NFL as a coach following his playing career. Mannion has spent the last 2 seasons in Green Bay working as an offensive assistant before becoming the quarterback coach in 2025, as well as offensive coordinator and play caller. He helped he helped develop Jordan Love and perhaps more impressively Malik Wilson, which is true because Malik Wilson played super good despite being a backup, probably better than he has in a while. who surprised everybody with his play at the end of the year. Many disciples go become play callers, but he has a vast coaching tree like Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. So the fact that this guy is part of the, and here's the funny thing with Matt LaFleur, like the Matt LaFleur offense is in the same boat as the Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. Like, let's be realistic, it's the same style of offense. It really is. And the fact that he's being hired to be the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, despite not, like, again, only having at least 2 years, having at least a year. Well, really not even 2 years, really a year, if we're being honest. And he also the latest hire we also have. But that is a good hire, by the way, too. Like, it's no joke. Another hire that we have is by the Washington Commanders. Uh, the true wild card of a play calling carousel is David Balaug. The Washington Commanders new, like, play caller, apparently. Another former quarterback who was coaching quarterbacks for only 2 seasons. Yeah, like he only has 2 seasons, like Manson, of coaching quarterbacks. But this time he's an internal hire. Cliff Kingsbury's out of Washington, which we'll talk about in a minute, because he did get hired to be the offensive coordinator somewhere else as well. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But this one is pretty new. The Commanders' offense did have weaknesses, but we'll see how this plays out. Same with the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll see how it plays out regarding this whole thing with hiring some new offensive coordinators. Like, this is going to be pretty weird. As a matter of fact, I talked about it with the Cliff Kingsbury news. And I had talked about this with the matter of fact, did I even get this wrong? Because let me see. Declan Doyle, did he actually get hired as the offensive coordinator? Yep. He is coaching for them now. But it's not just him. It's so yeah, no, I just want to make sure. So with Cliff Kingsbury. This is let's see here. So as of right now, Cliff Kingsbury doesn't have, as far as I know. I could try it again though. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find any news on him. Let me see. Come on, where is the thing? All right. All right, so we're gonna look at his coaching to see where he is right now. Yeah, he hasn't been hired. If anything, he left the Commanders. It's not known where he's been hired. As a matter of fact, for Cliff Kingsbury, what's super funny is um there are teams looking at him, but I don't know. I don't know who they could get. If anything, the other coaching hires that have been made is the Giants hired Matt Nagy over Cliff Kingsbury. That is saying a lot right there. That you hired Matt Nagy. Now, for granted, Matt Nagy as an OC is really good. As a head coach, so whatever you want. Nobody like say whatever you want as a head coach, but as offensive coordinator, he is a really smart mind. Another hire that's come into form is the Jets hiring Frank Ricci, former head coach of the Carolina Panthers, as the offensive coordinator the of the Jets. That is a pretty good that is a great hire. Now, the Jets parted ways with Tanner Engstrand, understandably so. Oh, because the offense wasn't playing great at all. But the Jets hiring Ricci happens to be a really good one, a big one. Now the Jets are gonna have to figure out what they're gonna do from an overall standpoint. They're gonna have to figure that part out. But I will say that that is a pretty good hire because as an OC, Ricci's offenses are really, really good. Like you can say, now listen here, the Panthers were a dog crap of an organization. They finally are getting it right. They just made the playoffs this past year, which is good, which shows you they're actually doing something right. Right, so I can't even be mad at that. Another hire that has been made is Todd Monken to the Browns as a head coach. This, honestly, I mean, we'll see how well it goes. We'll see, but I'm not gonna say as if I have a like as an offensive mind. Todd Monken is one of the best as an offense coordinator. I don't know how he is as a head coach though. I don't. So we're gonna have to see what it looks like for him as a head coach. I'm gonna want to have to see this. Another hire that's been made is by the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals have hired Mike LaFleur, or former offensive coordinator of the Shaman of the Los Angeles Rams, part of the Sean McVay tree. And for anybody who might ask, is Mike LaFleur related to Matt LaFleur? Yes, they are. Yes, he is. He is the brother of Matt LaFleur. Mike LaFleur will now be the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, like how his brother Matt is the head coach of the Packers, which is going to say a lot. I got to hear his press conference review. It was very amazing. Like, he is a very good offensive minded coach with who is a scheme architect. He knows how to scheme. He does come from basically his brother and Sean, which is awesome. Now, Mike LaFleur not only is a great offensive mind, but he's an explosive offense in LA, and he also was an offensive coordinator for the New York Jets with Garrett Wilson. He worked with Garrett Wilson. So, I mean, given how good he managed to make that offense, at least with how little he had it, shows a lot. And like I said, he was the offensive coordinator. Even though we all know, Sean McVay has a lot of say in that offense, Sean McVay has also praised Mike LaFleur's ability to be a offensive-minded coach. He's praised his ability to do that. Now, the other thing that he has done, Michael Ford has hired Nathaniel Hackett as an offensive coordinator, which that move, I I almost kind of question it. But then again, the only reason Mike LaFleur was hired was for I mean not Mike LaFleur. Nathaniel Hackett was hired to the Jets was for Aaron Rodgers, and that didn't really work out. So we'll see how it works with the Arizona Cardinals. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little hesitant about that offensive coordinating move. I am a little hesitant about that one. That is a little kind of sus there. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm not gonna lie. I do think that this is a good hire for the Cardinals, getting Mike LaFleur, who was who was said by many to be again a scheme architect, a very smart-minded, uh, a very highly intellectual, offensive-minded genius in a sense, which makes sense. Now they're still working on hiring who their defensive coordinator would be. If I were them, I would not hire Wink Martindale. That is not worth it because the defense in the Giants wasn't good, and the defense at Michigan wasn't good. So I wouldn't even bother doing that. Just being real. So we'll see how the all goes, but that is a lot of I'm not gonna lie, that's actually some pretty big NFL news with a lot of coaching hirings and coaching firings, as we all know. Um, I'm not gonna lie. And then there's one more set of coaching. And then now there is another set of big news as well. Because this is the biggest news in all of the NFL. Now, first I will start in this regards former this regards the now first we'll start with this regards the Minnesota Vikings because they have a bunch of news not only regarding coaching hires but their front office, which this is bad. This is gonna be the funniest one, but I'm gonna tell you that. I'm gonna tell you first. I'll tell you about the coaches. They've had three coaching hires. Former Steelers defensive back coach Gerald Alexander will be hired as the defensive backs coach and defensive pass game coordinator. Former Dolphins OC Frank Smith has been hired as the assistant head coach. And former Bills senior defensive analyst Ryan Nasil as defensive run game coordinator. Those are the three big hires that they've had, which are pretty good hires, actually. But that's not the biggest news with the Vikings. The biggest news is that their GM has been fired. Their GM. The Vikings have fired their GM. Something that I practically predict would come anyway. That's not shocking, honestly. That is the biggest news on the NFL is the firing of the GM of the Minnesota Vikings. After the horrendous season the Minnesota Vikings had, especially on offense. And you know what's funny is for Buckeye fans and fans across college football, we all said that JJ McCarthy is going to get the GM fired. Hilariously enough, that's exactly what happened. The GM of the Minnesota Vikings gets fired for the awful display of this team, especially on offense. So we'll see who the Vikings hire as GM. As a matter of fact, let's see. So as of right now, they don't have a new GM. As of right now, you know what's funny is the Minnesota Vikings had GM, previous GM, Kwes Afado Mensah. He actually was doing a pretty good job with this Vikings team until the 2024 draft with JJ McCarthy. Until like once that is very very bad. The fact that he got fired over that is very it should tell you just how bad it went. That's how bad it was this season. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like I know you guys heard me being quiet, but it's like I'm just thinking. I'm like, Oh my God, you cannot. It could not be that bad. Like, he really got the GM fired. We all said it would happen, and it did. So it is what it is. Now, um, I'm gonna let you guys know this because we pretty much have reached the end because that's all the news. Oh, wait, as a matter of fact, there is one more set of news, and it's NBA news a little bit about James Harden getting traded to the Cavaliers. That is another set of breaking news that has happened. Now, I'm gonna dive deeper into that on the next show instead of this show, and I will be doing it with my new co-host James. I know you all loved seeing James on the fourth episode where it was over an hour where myself and James just talked all types of sports. I will say this, you guys will get a chance to see myself and James probably start doing lives eventually. For now, it's gonna be just pre-records, and you will be seeing him more on the show. And I will let him know when we can start doing pre-records. We talked. It's gonna be great, and trust me, I think you guys are gonna love it too. Like, this is gonna be an absolutely fun show, and I know you guys have been waiting for the fifth episode to drop for the Spectrum. Again, I tend to let things space out to give you guys a chance to watch the previous four episodes before I deliver my fifth. But I promise you guys are gonna pretty much have more coverage after the Super Bowl. Because after the Super Bowl, I will have James on, and we will discuss all news regarding NBA, NFL. We'll give our thoughts on the Super Bowl and how things have played, and how things were played after the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl at least, and we'll give you guys our full on thoughts and opinions on that. And trust me, it's gonna be really fun. You guys are gonna see more of James as my co-host for sure. All right, and again, it's going to be fun. You're going to see more of the Spectrum podcast. You're going to see more episodes come out, but it'll be on a spare just to make sure we get the previous episodes out and not have each episode overlapping one another. You know what I mean? So, and again, eventually myself and James will start doing live shows as well. And we'll pick a day to do so when the time is to become more consistent. Uh, and that will help. I know for a fact this could help this show. It could help you guys, and I promise you guys are going to enjoy every bit of the show. So I want to thank you guys for tuning into the Spectrum podcast, brought to you by the OHL podcast. And you guys will also be seeing me next week, Monday, and Thursday on the OHL podcast roundtable shows. You guys will be seeing me on that next week. And I promise you guys are going to enjoy every single bit. And eventually, you'll have James on. Trust me, you guys are going to love him. I promise you, you're going to enjoy all kinds of sports talk with this man. He is an Ohio State fan, has been for a long time. He has been a fan of certain players from other teams, which I don't mind, including, kind of the team up north in a sense. There are some players he likes, which I can understand. There is a player I like from the team up north in some ways, but I'm not like a fan of them. But I promise you guys are going to love James. You're going to enjoy it, and you guys will have a great time on the Spectrum podcast. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.